beautiful people, and welcome. In this video, we are discussing graphing on the coordinate system. Now, this is going to be an introductory video. I'm going to try to keep it super duper short. We're just going to go over the basics of graphing on the coordinate system, and then we get to do some practice in class. All right, beautiful people, let's go ahead and do the disclaimer. As always, I am human. Humans make mistakes. I would like to learn from my mistakes. So if I make a mistake, please let me know where the mistake occurs so that way I may learn from it. All right, let's go ahead and jump in to what is graphing on the coordinate system. So a coordinate system or a coordinate plane is used to locate point on a two-dimensional plane. So a coordinate system or coordinate plane is used to locate points. Now, how do we locate these points on the coordinate system, coordinate plane? There are two pieces of information. Well, obviously, there's going to be a little bit more than two pieces, but there are two pieces of information that are really, really crucial for you to understanding graphing on the coordinate plane, coordinate system. The first one is the x-axis. Now, the x-axis, I'm going to highlight that. X-axis is a horizontal line on the plane. So this is my x-axis. Now we have x-axis being separated by this vertical line, this up and down line. So I have the x-axis on this side and I have the x-axis on this side here. Now what's the difference between the right and the left? We'll do that in a little bit. The y-axis is the line that goes through the x-axis, and the x-axis goes through the y-axis. So this green line here, that's going to represent our y-axis. And again, you have y-axis above, you have y-axis below. So again, x-axis is this pink line, y-axis is this green line. So I'm going to go ahead and change that over here. So again, y-axis, and then our x-axis. So why do we care that we have an x-axis on the right and the x-axis on the left? Typically what you're going to see is you're going to see x kind of like that, and you're going to see y kind of like that. Typically. If you draw it, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And what that tells you is that on the right-hand side, so the pinks, but on this side, that's going to be your positive value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. On the other side, those are going to be your negative x values. So like -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and -6. Very similarly, for our y-axis, we're going to do positive and negative y-axis. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's positive. And then on the negative side, it's going to be going down. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So this here, if you notice, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gets bigger. This goes smaller. This goes bigger. This goes smaller. And one thing you're going to notice is that right in the middle of all of that, in the intersection of your x and y, this point right here, this point is called your origin. And that point is very important because that's where you start. That's 0. And we're going to talk about your coordinate point here in just a little bit, but that's 0, 0. So now that we have discussed your x-axis, we have discussed your y-axis, we have talked about numbering positive and negative, let's talk about the quadrants. There are 4 quadrants to the coordinate system. Now, what is a quadrant? Quad just means 4. If you go quadding, you go on a vehicle with 4 wheels, quad. So the coordinate plane contains 4 quadrants. These quadrants are just the almost, I want to say boxes. They're not boxes, they're the spaces. So this space is quadrant 1, this space is quadrant 2, this space is quadrant 3, this space is quadrant 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we use Roman numerals, so we use symbols like that in order to identify the quadrants. Now, why does this matter? Well, notice that there are similarities and there are differences. In quadrant 1, both the y and the x values are positive. In quadrant 3, both the y and the x values are negative. And then these two, quadrant 2 and quadrant 4, it kind of switches. This one, oops, sorry about that. This one, x is negative, y is positive. This is x is positive, y is negative. And so we just need to know what quadrant things are in. All right, let's talk about the point, the coordinate point. There it is. I'm just shifting my paper up. So when we initially started, we said that the coordinate system is used to locate points. And those points are kind of like a direction or a map of where it is. For example, you're going to have an x value, comma, and a y value. Both of these numbers are going to be in parentheses with a comma between them. The x and y are in a relationship. When you see two people walking down the street, how do you know if they're in a relationship? They could be holding hands, they could be kissing, they're in a relationship. So how do you know that x and y are in a relationship? It is because they have parentheses and a comma between them. X and y are relation, right? So they have a relationship, meaning they need to be grouped together. Now, what does that mean? That means x comes first, then goes y. What does that mean? So let's start out with an example. Here's your x-axis, here's your y-axis, and let's go ahead and label these. Now, in the top planes, in the coordinate planes, I did right here, I labeled it by 1. You don't have to label it by 1, but you have to be consistent. So I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, 8. Here I'm going to do -2, -4, -6, -8. It's like two number lines being put together. Here we're going to have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Here I'm going to have -2, -4, -6, -8, -10. Now that I have labeled my x and y, I'm going to highlight it one more time just so you guys can see what I'm doing. Here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. So let's go ahead and plot or graph some points. For example, let's do -4 and 8. And let's call this point A and call this point B of negative, let's do positive. Let's do +4, -8. Okay, so when you are graphing, the x comes first. So now we get to figure out what that means. Here is my x. So here is my x. And I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to find on my x-axis a -4. Here it is. So here is an x-axis. I'm going to just do a dotted line. You don't have to do a dotted line. I'm just going to show you why I'm doing it in a little bit. Here's my dotted line. Here's x is -4. Then I'm going to say y comes next. So now I'm going to do y is 8. So now I'm looking at my y-axis. Here's my y-axis, and I'm looking for 8. There it is. So I'm going to do a dotted line. So the map, the point, is kind of like directions, like a map, told me that A is in the intersection of -4 and 8, meaning that's where they meet. So if I take -4 first, then I do 8, and I drag them, this is where they meet, right here. This is where A is. Now I'm going to do that one more time, but now I'm going to do 4, -8. So again, x comes first, so here's my x, here's 4. Here's 4 right here. And I'm looking for a -8. -8 is here on my y. All the way down there. Let me shift this up. So here is 4. Here is -8. So I'm going to make sure that they intersect, and they intersect right here. That is where B is located. Let's do a few more examples. Let's go ahead and number this real quick. Bear with me, I'm almost there. Almost finished labeling our plane. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and give you 2 more points. Let's do C and D. And let's graph 5, 3. And let's graph -5, -4. Let's do those 2 points. Yeah, so what comes first, what comes second? X always comes first, then comes Y. So if you don't want to do the dotted lines, that's fine. I encourage you to start doing it without the dotted lines. You're going to find X first. Let's go ahead and highlight this X axis so we know which one's which. So I'm looking for 5 first, then I'm going to be looking for 3. X always is first. So where's 5? 5 is here. Where's 3? 3 is here. So I'm going to take my finger and kind of drag it, and it's going to meet somewhere here. Because I want you guys to see, I'm going to show you. Here's 5. Here's 3. So here is my intersection, and that is where C is. Let's do again one last time. For D, -5, then -4. So show me where -5 is. -5 is here. -4 is here. Where do they intersect? They intersect right there, and that is the letter D. All right, beautiful people, that is it. Hopefully you have recalled a bunch of different information on the coordinate system or graphing. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!